Says the Machaz in the Mishnah of Luvim Beis. Karsa Megila be'uder Rishon. So what happens if they read the Megillah, the Ish to Uder, then V'nesab B'ashura, and then it becomes an Iber so now they have a second Uder. So Kairan Oisai be'uder Shaini. So you have to read it again according to this Tanakam in our Mishnah. Zweite Uder, you have to repeat the Megillah. We're not Yoitzim of the Ish to Uder Kriya. Ein bei Uder Rishon Uder Shaini. There's no Chilik. Meaning to say that you have to redo Kriyas Megillah and Matunas Lavyainam. Everything else, if you did in the first one, is Yoitzigavein. Says the Gemara Hula Inyan. The Gemara is being Medayik. Side of Parshias, Zev is Shuvin. But when it comes to the side of Dalit Parshias, so when it comes to Shkulim, Zucher, Pura, and Achaydish, so then both of them are good. Meaning, if you did it if you did this Dalit Parshia surrounding the first Uder, Pirim of the first Uder, first Dalit Uder, then you do not have to repeat it. So now the Gemara is going to say, try to find a match for this Mishnah from a different Brisa. Who does our Mishnah go like? Loi Tanakama, V'loi Rabbi Lezer B'Rabbi Yossi, V'loi B'Shem Gamliel. The Tanya, Koris Megillah Uder Rishon, Madgilain, the Megillah, the first Uder, V'nesab B'ashura, and then they added a second Uder. So then, Kayin Oisa Uder Shaini. You have to repeat the zweite Uder. Fine. Shekol mitzvah shenheges b'shaini, nehege b'rishon. Because every mitzvah that is negaya that you have to do in the second Uder, you can also really do in the first Uder. Meaning all the mitzvahs are pirim. Chitz, Mikra Megillah. Only Mikra Megillah, if it's Karis Megillah b'Uder Rishon, then you have to read it again in the second. But everything else, as the Yotzi, and that's Tanakama. You do not have to repeat the Megillah and the Zweite Uder. Period. Meaning everything. Even Megillah, das Tanash Ibechazer, as Yotzi going to Ish, the one. The first month. Af Kairin Oisa B'Uder Shiny. You do have to read it again in the second Uder. Nothing could be done on the first one. Everything has to be done on the second one. All Tanuim, no matter what they say about repeating what you were yoitz in the first one, what you were not, they all agree that it's Usa Behesped Batanas for both Uders. Both Yidalet Uders, Bekitzer. You have to keep this Indian of Simchas Hayoim, Kensa Shubin Kan Hesped and Tanas. Fine. Says the Gemara, B'Shem Gamliel, Haina Tanakam. So just look at this Brisa itself. B'Shem Gamliel says you have to repeat the Megillah and Uda Shaini. It seems to be very similar to Tanakama, who also says that you have to repeat the Megillah. Even though I saw over here on the bottom, I didn't really look through it, but the question did jump out at me that they do say different things otherwise. Right, meaning Tanakama says Shekol mitzvah shenheges b'shayni nekez Megillah chitz Megillah, and B'Shem Gamliel says everything Shekol mitzvah shenheges b'shayni. He doesn't say chitz Megillah. Fine, okay. They address that question. It says Gemara Umar of Popa side the parshas ikbanai. There's going to be a difference between B'Shem Gamliel and Tanakama. That the Dalet parshas, the Tanakama so lekatchil b'shayni. According to Tanakama, lekatchil you do Dalet parshas in the second Uder. But if you did it in the first one, you don't have to repeat it. The only thing you have to repeat is Bar Mikra Megillah, the Afagav, the Kur Berishin, Kur B'Shayni. Even though you read it in the first one, you have to repeat. So only Megillah has to be repeated. The Ala Parshis Lekatchila is in the Rishin, but if not, you could do B'Shayni. Mikra Megillah Lekatchila Berishin. Even Mikra Megillah is Lekatchila to be done in the first Uder. Meaning, right, even Mikra Megillah could be done in the first Uder. You don't have to repeat it. That was the middle opinion. Even side the Parshias, even side the Parshias, you mamash have to repeat. It's not like, so according to Tanakama, Katchila, it's in the first Uder, in the second Uder, but with the Avid, first Uder is okay. But according to Shem Gamliel, even if you did Dalet Parshias, you have to repeat it in the second one. So that's the difference between them, the Gavadal Parshas. But the Avid, that's going to be the Nafkamina. Mana, says the Gemara, our Mishnah, who does it go like? Itanakam Kashya Maturis. That it's a Kashya when it comes to Atunas, because according to our Mishnah, Atunas Lavyoinim is only in the second Udir. That's what we said clearly. But according to Vedas, we're going in the Brisa Tanakama. Tanakama says that Karis Megila Budarishim is Shiny, Karis Budashiny. So kids when they're leaving out Matunas Lavyoinim. Right, so again, according to our Mishnah, it's only the second Uda. According to Tanakama, Pashas, the first Uda would work. Because again, according to the middle opinion of Blazer, you have to do everything in the second month. Nothing. Oh, you don't have to repeat it. I'm sorry. Everything works in the first one. So fine. So then it's a Kasha Mikra Megillah, which according to our Mishnah, you have to repeat Mikra Megillah and Matunas Lavyoinim. So it does not stem for sure with a Blazer B'Yossi, who says you could do everything in the first one. You don't have to repeat anything. Kashi Saida Parshias. According to Saida Parshias, the Dala Parshias, according to Shim Gamliel, you have to repeat it in the second Uda. You cannot be Yoitze Bichlal in the first Uda, the Dala Parshias. And according to our Mishnah, it would work. Only Mikra Megillah and Matunas Lavyoina would not work in the first month. It says, Tanakama, really it's Tanakama. Our Mishnah goes like Tanakama. When the Tanakama said Mikra Megillah, they also meant Matunas Lavyoinim. So it really lines up with our Mishnah that both of these are the only things that you have to repeat. If you did in the first Udin, you have to repeat Megillah and give again the Matunas Lavyoinim. Why? Dehu Talia. Because really, they are the Zelba'inian, as we learned a few blocks ago, that the Aniyim are waiting for the Megillah to get their cash. And Sinish Pushit, Sistar Kazoy. Sinish Pushit.
So one is depending on the other.
One depends on the other. They know, and Mamayla, they always go together. So even if you did, let's say, Matunas Lavyoinim in the first month, you're going to have to redo it again together when you redo Mikra Megillah. Really, it's Rishim Gamliel. And our Mishnah is missing. So this is really what's going on. It's going to answer Ein Bain Abu Udarish and the Yudalat Shuvashai. There's no difference between the Yudalat, the Udarish, and the Yudalat Shuvashai. Elu Mikra Megillah, Matunas Lavyoinim. Hu le'inyan hesmed v'tanis. Zev is that shulin. So I'm going to be able to say shiny. Elu Mikra Megillah Matunas Lavyoinim. Hu le'inyan hesmed v'tanis. Zev is that shulin. At least Saidi Parshas loy Meir. So Saidi Parshas, we don't. It's not mentioned. And Mamayla could be, like we said, the whole problem with the Shem Gamliel is the guy with the Dalit Parshas. Could be our Mishnah is the same as the Shem Gamliel, and you do have to repeat the Dalit Parshas in the second Uda. Fine. Let's Omer B'chi Bar Oven Omer B'Yoichan Avislo Vater Hilchis Ekeb Shem Gamliel She'omer Shem B'Yoisi. The halacha is like Shem Gamliel in the name of Rabbi Yosi, that the Megillah, the Dalit Parshas have to be done only in the second Uda. Fine. This is what we pass like Taka. Both opinions again, both the opinions of Shimon Gamliel and Ablezer ben Yossi who argue, and they say, meaning they seem to argue if the first Udir is the real Udir or the second Udir. That's basically what it boils down to. So where do they both get their opinions from? It says the Gemara Shnai Mikra Eicha Darshi. They both darshan the same pusik. It says Bechal Shuna V'Shuna. Ablezer ben Yossi says Bechal Shuna V'Shuna. Just like every year, so really we could look at this either way. We're going to see in a second. Just like every year, Piram is in the Uda right after Shvat. Shvat, Uda, Piram is Yidalit Uda. Afkan Uda Sumach Shvat. So too, when you have two Udas, you look at the Uda that's Sumach Shvat. Pink Fakir, so Bechal Shuna V'Shuna, you could also look at the other way. Ma'kal Shuna V'Shuna Uda Sumach L'Nissen. Right? Always, Piram comes out in the Udid 14, a month before Pesach.
We previously learned that people look at Pesach as 30 days after Piram.
Oh, very good.
Same.
Very good. We had that. They'll make a mistake with Pesach. Right. Yeah, very good. Especially with the people far away. Afkan Udid Sumach L'Nissen. So they look at the Udid as Sumach L'Nissen. So we need to have a little bit of a surah because they both, you could look at it both ways. So now the Gemara is going to ask what drove them to look in the first place in each direction. So Rabbi Yosi says that it has to be the first Uda, just like Shvat. I understand why he wants to keep it close to Shvat. Why? The Aim Avin al Mitzvah. We have a rule, Mistaber Tama, it's Mistaber his Tam, his reason is logical, because we don't pass it by on a mitzvah. That's not, if you're not going to pass by a Udir and wait, because B'shtipten Shubka mitzvah. So I hear why you want to make as a Zrizen Magdim el mitzvahs type of thing. But according to Shim Gamliel, what is the reason why he Dafka wants it in the second Udir? There's a concept of being Soymech Ge'illah Ge'illah. That means at the end of the day, you want to make sure Pesach is a Ge'illah, Purim was a Ge'illah of, Atzulaf and Haman and all that. And Megila, we want to try to keep, just like we have, by the way, an Indian of Gul Yisrael. That's why we're not mafsik. It's the Gemura Brucha solution. We're not mafsik. You're not allowed to speak between Gul Yisrael, which is why we phase it out at the end. We make it low because we don't want anybody to say Umay. Megila. So too over here, we want to have Ge'illah next to Ge'illah. We'll do one. Yeah, let's do a drop more. Laser Umar Meihucha Tam the Shem Gamliel Meihucha. It's the Chsiv Lekaimas Ageris Apir Mazais Shainas. It says the second letter. So Pashtus, because Esther and Mordechai sent out 2 letters, but whatever it is, he understands that it says Shainas. So the Pir Mazais Shainas. That means the second one there is mashma for him a second Ude. Fine.